From Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland Air Force IMSC headquarters, warfighters supporting warfighters. So I think we're pretty pumped up. I appreciate that those on the line and those who are here with us take the time to talk a little bit about this PMP, Project Management, through Project Management Institute. So when we in the General when General and I walk around the bases or even in here, I sometimes get stopped and people ask me about PMP, and they ask me, hey, so you got yours, how did you do it? So we start a conversation right there, and then we move on to something like sales, and they say, hey, I heard that, so can we talk about that? And I say, yeah, sure, let's talk about it. I was thinking it'd probably be a good idea for all of us to just have a enterprise-wide conversation about this certification and the benefits of it. For me, when I look at this, I was looking for an opportunity to sharpen my skills in other areas. So I have my bachelor's degree done. I did my master's. Some of you have completed some of your degrees, and you're looking for not to go over and you don't have to do this and that, but looking for something that can help you in your job to lead cross-function, especially here in Air Force IMSC. That's what we do across. We're constantly leading cross-functionally. We're looking at risk analysis. We're looking at how do we come up with different courses of actions. How do we manage different projects in 2.0. Many of you are involved in 2.0, in the culture approach. I mean, everything that we do had to do with some of those things. And then some of you manage programs, so we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. But this is specifically, it gives you the edge and teach you the skills about project management. And it's based on the American National Standards Institute, and so that's where terminology comes from. You'll see it, and I have some visual aids in here too, so you can see what I'm talking about. So we'll talk about some of those things. I have an hour and a half, right? In an hour and a half, I cannot get you ready to test. But I believe that what we can do here is get you enough where you can be in the right place and set yourself to be at the right place in the future where you can win. And also, it will help you avoid wasting time looking into things that you should not be looking into. And so that will help you, make you more successful than what I did myself when I was going through this process. I learned that I did things that were not very effective. I would have been able to do certain things in a particular order, would have made me more efficient and more confident by the time that I was going to take the test. So a special thanks to iMentor. Air Force IMSC is part of that cultural approach. If you look at that, our cultural approach, we got our cultural lines of effort. And so iMentor and Profession of Arms is part of that, about how do we develop warfighter character ethos. So us here, military, civilian, are part of that, and how do we develop our workforce. So special thanks to that. And if you have ideas for iMentor, Chief Select Walker is the chair for that effort. So just go ahead and send them your ideas, and we'll take it from there. I also believe that on the line we may have some people who are PMP certified, and if you are, if you're in the line, you can let Sergeant Bonilla or through DCS know that you are there, because I wanted to ask you to probably talk a little bit. I know Chief Bloom out of Deck 2 sent me a message, tell me, hey, I done this, what do you think? I told him, hey, perfect, come over, and so you can kind of give your testimony. He got his very recently, so that would be fresh for you. Okay, so next slide.
Hold on, I lost connection.
All right. So we'll be on our second slide. That second slide is called Roadmap to PMP Certification, and it's going to talk about what we have done. Yes?
Just to throw in the mix and maybe a conversation piece as we progress. Maybe Chief Walker, that'll be probably the way to go. But I hear there, when you reach out to these schools or research how to get a PMP, most of them offer group settings where if you have enough people, they'll come to you and do the boot camp. I don't know if this is the right audience, but it looks like enough people that maybe we could target that.
Absolutely.
And research that avenue and say, hey, we'll get a room. We need 4 days. This is the space we need. We may have to take leave or figure out what all that means. But if they can do that, if we have enough folks, maybe we can do it upright and set it up from that perspective here.
So, absolutely. So, talk with Chief Select Walker. Sounds like a great idea. He's already here. He's saying, you know what, can I have some more?
Hey, I got plenty in the tank, no worries.
So, but yes, as a matter of fact, when I did this, I wanted to do it with a wingman. And so if you're thinking about doing this, it would be advantageous for you to partner up with somebody. Because you know what competition does? You know, all of us, especially everybody here in this room and those one on the lines, I can guarantee every single one of you is very competitive, and you're constantly, hey, what are you doing? You know, you run a mile high, did a mile and a half yesterday. Oh, really? 2. Did 2 1/4. I mean, all of us, and that is good. It's you know, up to a point, of course, right? Yeah, you know, I bungee jump from, then you're getting a little to the extreme. But for the most part, this kind of competition is very healthy. And so when I did this, I wanted to do it with 3 more others, and things happened anyway. I ended up going solo. But this is what happens. If you are doing it with somebody else, that person is going to be checking on you. From time to, hey, how you doing? I'm in chapter so-and-so. Or the person may be doing some cards and may quiz you. Hey, so talk to me about McClellan. What did he do? Oh, yeah, he's, you know, the achievement guy. Or, you know, talked about the theories of whatever. So that person can quiz you and vice versa. And so that's a great place. And one way to do it is to gather a bunch of people, put them together. There are some of these companies, and also if you go through your local PMP chapter or PMI chapter, they'll set it up for you, and they will lower the cost that you will have to pay. But we'll talk a little bit more about that. Yes, sir.
Chief, just another point on the Air Force e-learning site. There is a PMP course that doesn't cost anything, and is intended to prepare you for the test. I don't, you know, so like other distance learning things that we in the Air Force participate in, you know, we might even be able to form our own little seminar, if you will, using that curriculum. So that might be something to look for. I'd also add that I really think this is job related.
Absolutely.
So, you know, there may be an opportunity to get some assistance, or at least be able to do it pseudo on duty versus having to take personal time for this.
Absolutely, and that's if we get a few people, and I know that a lot of you, I mean, you think about what we're doing with 2.0, I mean, it is this, when you think about it, so it is, yes sir, that's absolutely true. We could do it. I mean, I know in other places they have done that. For enlisted folks, it's a little different because the Air Force already will pay you for that. But again, it will count. So we'll have to do the paperwork for the civilians and the officers. I think, and I owe the civilian, I owe the education office a call to ask, because to see if the Air Force will pay for the civilians. But if it's job related like this, then we will pay for it. I don't want to commit, but I mean, it's very possible, and I've seen it in other places. So, but we'll talk some more about that in just a second. So let's see if give us some time to catch up to see if our DCS is online. But just to catch you up. So we were in the second slide, and roadmap to PMP certification. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about what is PMP, the application and audit process, the cost of paying it, what are you going to need to study, And any helpful aids, we already started kind of talking about some of these boot camps and stuff, and there's some caveats in there. We'll explain more of that. And then we'll talk about the test day, the test, and the day after. What happens the day after? Okay, so we'll move on to slide number 3. And that is roadmap to PMP certification. What's PMP? And that's basically what it is. When you get a certification that says that you are PMP certified, what we're saying is basically this. You can lead projects, you can maintain them within constraints, you understand risk analysis, and you can apply the methodology specified in the PMI body of knowledge to get those projects on time, on budget, and within constraints. Next slide. More specific, this is what we say the PMP does, the designation. So as you can see, it can is responsible for all aspects of projects. They can lead and direct cross-functionally. Sounds like Air Force iMSC. And obviously, it can demonstrate the experience in applying these things. And when you go back, just go into the PMI website, and you're going to see in there many areas, and there are different kinds of certification. Just click on PMP certification, and then download the PMI body of knowledge, and that is the 3 or 4 page document that talks about all the things that you're going to be tested on. And I'm going to simplify that for you in just a little bit. Okay, next slide. We're talking about now eligibility requirements. These are the eligibility requirements, and this is a great place to start, because in here you'll know if you can apply for this or if you don't have the qualifications. The basic thing in here is that obviously you see there's a requirement for the key piece in here is that there are requirements for hours, the number of hours, project hours. So the way they do this is, as you notice, if you don't have a bachelor's degree, you need 7,500 hours spent in the different areas of project management. And if you have a bachelor's degree or higher, then you need 4,500 hours, and then also the years of service. Now, a note in here, and you see on the slide that I have a note in there. I have actually 2 notes. One, it says at the bottom, all experience will be accounted within the 5 process groups. So what I'm holding right now is the Project Management Body of Knowledge Guide. It is a very thick book, and it's 589 pages, and you have to read this. But when we talk about the process groups in here, in table 3-1, and obviously you're not going to be able to see it in there, but I'm going to point to the areas where you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm talking about that table 3-1, the top of the table. There are 5 process groups in there. And so on top is the initiating process group, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and the closing project process group. And so what happens is, in each of those process groups, there are processes. And you can see in there a bunch of them. They make all these processes, make about 284 different combinations. And so that's what we're talking about. Can have you worked on these processes? Not saying that you have to be able to have done every single one of those, but that you have within those projects have worked. So why is this important? Why am I just spending a few more minutes in that? The reason why this is important is because when you apply, and later on we'll talk a little bit about this, you have to be able to, for example, you have a project, and the project is something that have a start and a finish. The program is different. The program is, may have a start, but you are continuing that project. It does not have an end, or at least probably not within your side. It could have, but if it has a start and a finish, it's a project. So what happens is, when you are going to apply, you have to jot all of your experience in the different kinds of projects that you have done. And then you have to talk about how much time you spend in each one of those process groups. Each one of those 5 process groups. That's why that's important. So when you are trying to figure out, do I have 4,500 hours? Do I have 7,000 hours? So the way for you to do that is to take all the projects that you have done, go back, I think it's 5 years. They go back. Okay, so 3 years, minimum 3 years. So I think up to 7 years. So you go back up to 7 years, and for us, it's kind of easy for an enlisted officer and some of our civilians because remember, you have your EPRs, OPRs, the civilian performance appraisals, and so there's a lot of information in there. So you can go back through all of those and then start annotating. Oh yeah, I remember this. Oh yeah, I remember. Let's say the senior NCO induction ceremony, for example. That's a project. It has a start and has an end. You lead that. So if I let that, how much was the budget? The initiation part, I spent so many hours. I had so many volunteers. I had this. So you have that. So you go back to your declarations and stuff. And you start putting all of those things together. The best is to get a spreadsheet, and that's what I did. I got a spreadsheet. I put all of my projects on the right side, on the left side, all the way to the bottom. And then on the top of the spreadsheet, I have each one of the groups. And then I say, well, I spend so much. In some cases, you have to estimate, because in some cases, you don't know. And then also, the other thing that should happen is that you have to have months in there. So you have to, when you develop that spreadsheet, on the left side, all your project, on the right side, the process groups, and also develop that spreadsheet so you can have months. The reason why the months is important is because if there is overlap in some of these areas, there is a limit as to how many hours you can overlap. Obviously, in a month, and let's say, for example, just to keep it simple, hey, Puerto Ricans like it simple, The rest of the time, you're going to be complicated, we use it for other stuff. Anyways, a day has 24 hours. If you have overlapping processes, right, on that day adds to 26, then something that can't be unless you're in another planet. If you're in another planet, maybe, but not on planet Earth. You only have 24 hours. And so that's kind of what you see when you put all of your hours together over months, over years. And I tell you, the PMI, the Project Management Institute, they go through your application and they check for all of those things. And they'll reject if the math doesn't add up. So, but there is a solution for that, and we can talk a little bit more about that. So. Those are key areas. You see in that slide, it says project management education, and it says you have to have 35 contact hours. How do you get those? So if you go through we call it boot camp, it's not the right word, a PMP training course. Make sure that if you're going to do something like that they are PMI. They have been certified through PMI, because once you graduate from that course, they will report to the Project Management Institute that you have completed those hours, because that's what they're going to do. When you have that kind of boot camp, you get a certificate, and that certificate is the proof that you completed those 35 contact hours. And if you don't have it, obviously when they audit, or even you have to put in the application, you have to put the address or the company that you took the course with, and so that way they verify that you did meet that criteria. Okay, so next slide, please. And we're moving now that you understand all the requirements. I think it's time to talk about the application. Any of you have done the application in here? Or on the line? Do we have anybody on the line who's done the application? Or anybody here or on the line have done the boot camp? done any type of boot camp. Okay. So this is the application process we're going to talk about next. And what you see there, what I did, I went to the PMI Institute, Project Management Institute, and I just did a screenshot from their website. So that's when you go there, PMI.org, that's what you're going to see. And there, obviously, you don't see that other, tilted sign that said Note 1, Note 2. That's just me, for you. But that's what you'll see more or less, and there's information there about Project Management Institute, what it is. You're going to see also information about other types of certifications. And you got to think through this because PMP may not be what you need. Or maybe what you want to do is you want to pursue the program management professional and not the project management professional. So you got to see where are you at. Both the criteria is it's about the same. Both, or you can do your project management professional, and then later on go and get your program management professional. In most cases, and you'll see it in our careers, we do both. Really, now all of us do both. So that's an opportunity, but not one of them out first. Don't try to study for both. So anyways, you'll see in there and peruse through it. I had the little video in there, and so you go in there and then you start your application. My suggestion is to not start the application until you have studied and you think you're ready. And I'm going to talk a little more about that soon. But for curiosity, just go in there. And when you are ready, you click the buttons. It says login. You have to register. You register, put your different your vitals and so on, addresses, and you know how that goes. And then it's going to start asking you for information. For example, it's going to ask you to load all your projects. And then you're going to see this kind of spreadsheet. It's going to start asking you for how many hours in the initiation for that particular project. How many hours did you spend, in the closing? How many hours in the, risk, analyzing risk. You're going to see that, and so that's why it's important. Once you have all of that, you can save because the process takes a while. That application process. So you can save, and then if you don't have information, you can go back later on. Log in and kind of finish it. The other thing it's going to ask you is going to ask you for people who can testify, I guess, use this word, that what you put in there was true. Who can prove that what you had in there is true? So before I went in there, I started calling people. I said, okay, well, you know what? In my case, when I was in aircraft maintenance, we did this particular project. Okay, had to deal with isochronal inspections, and we took this aircraft, and that was Colonel Fike, who's actually right now in AFIMSC, is the A4, and so he signed my EPR. So okay, and I just look at him up. Oh, there he is. Hey, sir, how you doing? Hey, Chief, I've not heard from you in a long time. Yeah. I need your address. What are you doing? What am I going to get? No, don't worry about it. Just give it to me. All right, Chief. And so I got his address, telephone number, and I told him what was this for. I told him, hey, I'm applying for this PMP and this application. You may get a phone call from the auditors. So just put a good word for me, okay, when that happens. And so I did that with other people too. I had some of those guys were retired, but some of these guys were retired and back into the service as civilians. So I call them, hey, how you doing, Mike? Hey, hey man, I've not heard from you in a long time. Yeah, I know. Hey, can I? No, they're just good friends. The beauty of the service, right? And so I got all that information. I put it in there. And then click finish, submit, and then if it's not ready, you're gonna get a reject. You know, and if it's good to go, you'll get green light, and then you'll have to wait until they tell you, you know, we have audited or we have finished and we have reviewed and you qualify to take the test. And once you get that notification, then you can talk about scheduling, and they tell you exactly, okay, you are here, and in this particular area, these are the centers where you can schedule your test, and that's the last slide. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. Now, one of the things that can also ask you in here is going to ask you, do you want to be a PMI member? You don't have to be a member, but I think it's like $100, $120 discount on the test. I mean, if you become a member, you know, then you've already paid, you know, for part of your test, and so it's a great deal. And plus, their website is full of, you know, for nerds like me. I tell you, you have all kinds of information about, you know, stuff for free. I mean, I get like this book here. When you become a member, the PMI Body of Knowledge, you can download it for free. Obviously, I am one of those that I need to touch the book. I need to. Oh, it smells like a book. It's mine. You know, I need that. If you can see, for those that are not on the line, I mean, I eat the books. I mean, you can see this one is highlighted. I got notes in there, love letters. I mean, sticky notes all over the place. I mean, that's me. When I study, I go all out. I mean, I tell you, I will be a good general one day. It's not gonna happen. So, those are other benefits. They have some great articles in there that I have read through them and had given me insight into stuff that we do here. Sometimes trying to fix some problems. How do we get about doing this? You know, General Spacey, you know him. He's very inquisitive about things, and so we get to talk about different things. And he goes and challenges me all the time. Okay, Chief, that's a great idea, but how do I do that? Tell me, how do I do it? You know, you're, okay, lofty idea and everything, but can you prove it to me? How do I, and you know, just being a member of this institute has been great. The other thing too that they're going to ask you here, you're going to see, is they're going to ask you if you want to become a member of the PMI chapter. And basically you paid it there, it's like $25 I think or something like that. I mean, it's a discount, right? And so I became a member of the PMI chapter, and they do everything electronically. So they added my address, and every time they have classes, they send me a message telling me, hey, you know, these are the kind of things that we have. Because once you have your PMP, there's a requirement that you have to maintain, I think it's 39 credit hours, 39 educational hours within 3-year period. If not, it expires. And I tell you, you want to take that test again? Well, I don't know. There are things out there. Some people, right now, the board, the PMP board, they're trying to deliberate how they're going to do that. Should we ask people to retake the test every 3 years? Or should we still allow this with some experience? So, as of right now, the educational credits work. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to add the educational experience, educational work, plus, hey, tell us how have you been applying some of this, which in our case, we don't have problems. You do that all the time here. Anyways, those are the ideas here for this slide. I think we've covered. We'll talk about Prometric Note 2 later on towards the end. Okay, so next slide. Cost. This is what this slide talks about. I took a screenshot out of, and I cut it. That's why you see that tilted to the left of the slide. And you can see the cost is, if you're a member, is $405. And if you are a non-member, it's $555. That's what the test cost to take the test. And if you did not pass the test, it's not free the second time. Okay, so you're gonna be paying again. And there are many ways, and we were just talking about before we started about some ways you can go about paying this. I tell you, I paid it out of my own pocket. I did that on purpose because I wanted to pass. And I knew that if I'm paying that out of my own pocket and I don't pass, my wife will kill me. You know?